Is this okay?
Yes, sir. One more slide, sir. Yes, sir. Perfect, sir. With your permission, can we start the recording, sir?
Yeah, we can start.
Ma'am, can we start, ma'am? Sir, 1 second. Can we take one virtual photo, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Smile, sir. Smile, please. Thank you. Thank you, sir. 1 second, sir. I'll. Thank you, sir.
Okay, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let us continue with the third plenary session of the international conference. Statistics says that cyber attacks in the field of healthcare transfers. Yes, now we have Dr. Christo Anand, professor, to share his knowledge about recent trends in cyber security attacks during pandemic. Now I call upon Ms. R. Indra, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, to welcome the resource person.
Good afternoon, everybody. I wish to extend my hearty greetings and express a warm welcome on behalf of our management to our resource person, Dr. Christo Anand, who is a professor, an eminent engineer, and young achieving scientist. Dr. Christo Anand graduated in engineering in electronics and communications and completed his PG in applied electronics. He holds a doctorate and has done his PS postdoctoral research work in cooperative networks. He is an active researcher and specializes in embedded systems, networking, digital image processing, networking security, and VLSI. He has more than 100 research papers his credits. Besides, he has also contributed 25 international publications, 28 international book chapters, and published 4 textbooks at national level and 3 textbooks at international level. He has also published 10 monographs in reputed international journals. He is the proud recipient of 15 honors and Best Faculty Awards. 6 engineering textbooks mention him in special notes. He has also received several awards for his technical contributions like Young Scientist Award and Best Knowledge Exchange Transfer Initiatives of the Year 2017 awards. He is a member of 140 professional and social welfare bodies around the world. He is an editorial board member of 381 Index International Journals and 155 educational institutions. It is indeed a great honor to have such an eminent personality to address us and enlighten us on various trends in cyber security. I am extremely proud to once again welcome him to this honored international conference.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Indra. Respected sir, you may start your presentation now.
Okay. Just hold on a minute. Right. So I hope I'm audible to you. I hope I'm audible to you and my screen is visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So very good afternoon to everybody present here in India, and a warm welcome to all my dear participants, students, young researchers, faculty members, and eminent scientists in and around the world. So today's topic for this conference is all about recent trends in cybersecurity, blockchain technology, and ethical hacking at the time of pandemic. And this is especially for you, my dear students, young researchers, faculty members, staff members, eminent scientists, and you can reach me at dr.christoanand@gmail.com. So before beginning the session, let us take 1 minute prayer, maybe if not 1 minute, at least a few seconds. As for me, I thank God for giving me this golden opportunity to deliver this useful session, to share my knowledge among my fellow national, international participants, students, and young researchers and faculty members. So before beginning the session, I would like to thank the president of this esteemed college, Srimati Indira Gandhi College, Sri Totta P.V. Ramanujan, the president of this college, Dr. K. Meena, the secretary, Sri K. Chandrasekharan, CEO, and S. Aparna, who has been the director of this college, and especially thank you, my dear officials and the head of the department, who understood the need to initiate fruitful outcome on teaching, learning, and education. So thank you. And thank you, my dear colleagues and fellow participants, who understood the necessity to support this session by a valuable presence, and without you, the event would not be possible. And thank you, Professor Indra, Professor Vijay Lakshmi, and Tharpagam Murugeshwari for your enlightening cooperation in this session. You know, I've been storming. I've been receiving messages. I wouldn't say I've been receiving messages. I've been stormed with regular updates every now and then. Okay, the conference is supposed to be on 15 December, and I've been receiving regular updates right from December start. So it shows your involvement, your interest, and your enthusiasm. Yes, of course, it's just an international conference, but still the way you order it and the way you coordinate among yourselves, that's what I said. You have been storming me with messages. You have been storming with me with the regular updates. So thank you, my dear coordinators, colleagues, and fellow participants. So as I told you, this is today's topic: recent trends in cybersecurity, blockchain technology, and ethical hacking at the time of pandemic. And I should tell you that before this session, I had a meeting with my university officials, and they have been advertising or maybe telling something about the Google products and how the cybersecurity has played a vital role. So it was right context with today's topic over here. So today's session will have a short introduction, and then we'll discuss about cybersecurity trends which are emerging in the year 2022. Yes, of course, we have entered 2022. And then the essential cybersecurity skills for today's professionals, because that's our major need, because our professionals need skills. As I told in the previous webinar session, actually our world is full of people, but we lack professionals. So the skills are missing. So these skills will definitely help to nurture the young minds and professionals towards the right path in the field of cybersecurity. And then I'll discuss some of the bright future for cybersecurity jobs. And then the second part of today's session will have a blockchain technology. And then I'll discuss about the top ethical hacking trends, growth and opportunities. Of course, I'll be discussing about cloud computing. And then analysis to reduce the cyber attacks by automatic processes. And then about the various government requirements, the various healthcare jobs where it finds usage, and then the consultancy companies, and then the future growth of ethical hackers. So actually hacking is okay if it is used correctly. And then of course at regular intervals I'll be explaining you with some short videos, so you will definitely have some interest towards today's topic. Let me start the session with an introduction, a short introduction about the cybersecurity. So you can define cybersecurity as a art, or maybe a complete method of protecting networks, or maybe devices, or maybe data from unauthorized access. Maybe you can protect it from the criminals, okay, the intruders, okay, and the practice of ensuring confidentiality, integrity, security, authentication, and availability of information to the right authenticated officials. So which seems that everything relies on computers, and the internet now communication is mainly dependent on maybe emails, or maybe Android devices, smartphones, or maybe tablets. And then for the entertainment purpose, we use maybe social media, we have apps, interactive video games, something like you would have experienced with the case of PUBG or maybe Free Fire, like boys or maybe girls talking among themselves. Okay, irrespective of the place where they do. Okay, so while eating, while playing, they simply sit with the computers or maybe the mobile phones. Okay, so you should have a keen look at it. Okay, but mobile, if it is used well, it is good for use. And then with the case of transportation, even with the case of navigation systems, for shopping you have like online shopping, you have Amazon, Flipkart. Okay, and then credit cards, debit cards, Visa, Mastercards, and then we have the case of medicine, we have medical equipment, and then medical records, which will be providing an update information about the patient's history, even though when we are in the pandemic period. And then the list goes on. Okay, so now if I put you a simple question, how much of your daily life relies on technology? My question to you, my dear participants, how much of your daily life relies on technology? Can you imagine a world without technology? Can you imagine a world without internet? Can you imagine a world without computer? Can you imagine? Now my simple question to you, I'm asking to you, just a simple question. Can you imagine a world without technology? Can you imagine a world without computer?
No, sir. No.
You cannot imagine because they have programmed it. Okay, God has created us and man has programmed us. Okay, so we have to do this. We have to get up, brush up teeth, get ready for work online, get ready for company, do some jobs, do some projects, wait for projects online. So it's being programmed. So how much of your personal information is stored either on your own computer, smartphone, tablet, or other some else system? Do you know about that one? How much of your personal information is being stored on your computer? Maybe on
Almost
some other's computer.
all the information is stored on my smartphone.
All information is being stored. So you cannot assure, okay, my information is not stored anywhere. Of course, we are taking means to protect it. Okay, but when we go to the browsing centers, we do not think about anything. Of course, I told you, in the previous webinar session, you have plenty of movies that educate yourselves. Okay, without reading anything, you simply click on agree, 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 agree. Okay, and then after that, what happens? Your personal information is in sale. Okay, so it is vital that you have to protect your personal information, and it is very important that you behave like professionals. Okay, and most of the the problems come out only because out of the learned people. Okay, maybe even the unlearned people, yes, of course problems might happen, but even the learned professionals, they simply do not read anything and then they bypass the time. So this should be taken hard care of when it comes to cyber security. So here are the trends which are emerging in 2022. We have new technologies and devices, and the reason for this is the cyber attacks. Now the focus has completely changed over to protect against the protect the information against cyber attacks. And one factor is the increase in the new technologies and new devices. And I predict by 2027, Business Insider, so it's a media, it's a magazine which predicts that more than 41 billion IoT devices will be online and connected. Very recently, I came across today's news. Okay, do you know about today's news in YouTube? Today, do you know about today's news in YouTube? Anybody? The hot news in YouTube. If you can go through your YouTube app, what is your first news? Any idea?
PM's Twitter account has been hacked.
Sorry?
Our Prime Minister's Twitter account has been hacked.
Privacy has been hacked. Okay.
Prime Minister. Modi's
Prime Minister's
Twitter
has been
account
hacked.
has been.
Okay, Twitter account has been hacked. Okay, that was, yes, of course, that was one. The other one, immediately on going to YouTube, you will see one new feature today. starting today. Maybe yesterday night or maybe today. I don't know whether you have noticed or not. It is 1 trillion views in YouTube. Do you think our information is there in YouTube? Yes, of course, it is there. Our email ID, our phone number, everything is there in YouTube. Which means, the hashtags which you use, similar contents, everything is being interconnected. Okay. So if the YouTube is gathering some information, gathering some views towards it, which means that we are into it, which means that YouTube has become a master and we have become slaves. Of course, it has got to play with the IoT industry. So this IoT industry has become a prime target for cyber criminals and has sent device makers scrambling to protect their smart plugs, wearable fitness devices, and baby monitors from attacks. So this is the matter of concern, and we have to react strongly to it. And then we have increasing ransomware attacks. Monetization, you would have heard maybe like 2017, okay, 2016, 2017. Monetization is another key factor which is contributing to the rise in the cyber attacks. And in the past, it was difficult for the cyber criminals to profit from attacks, but that has changed. Now cyber criminals are becoming more smarter and has increasingly turned to ransomware attacks, or those in which the attackers gain access to and they try to encrypt a victim's data and demand a ransom. You would have heard in the mail, okay, I have some private photos of you. Okay, you deposit some amount in the cryptocurrency, you deposit in Bitcoin. So they have gone to much larger extent. Even in Facebook, you would have seen fake accounts and they demand for money. Okay, most of the cases we are smart, but some people, unlearned people, even the learned people, they give money just because they are a friend. Okay. Cryptocurrencies and the emergence of the ransomware have made it easier for someone to commit a crime and get away with it, because they can get paid in untraceable ways, which Guevara Nobel, the director of Northeastern University, has stated them, okay, in his or her program. Okay, actually, I'm pretty much interested or maybe admired by Guevara Nobel. His way of defining things is pretty much peculiar, okay, in the space of cyber security. And there's also the anonymous communication software which is available. You would have heard about it, Tor, okay, the download which you use, okay, which makes it easier to anonymize the threats. And this trend has motivated attackers to commit cyber crimes in pursuit of monetary gain, while simultaneously making it more difficult to track and identify these criminals. So this is where cyber security professionals should have a good time in identifying the problems. So this is actually a large schematic diagram. We have several conventional attacks. We have the man in the middle attack, backdoor, and then malicious codes. We have replay attack. We have spoofing type of attacks as well. And then we have unique cloud computing threats. We have malicious insiders, unknown risk profile as well. And then we have an insecure application programming interface API. And then metadata spoofing attack, cloud malware injection attack, account and service hijacking. Okay, we have like several unique cloud computing threats as well. And then we have risks, weak access control, privileged escalation, segregation of duties, complexity of configuration. And then if you take about the physical infrastructures, we have network intrusion, theft, fraud, fragmentation attacks, okay, dynamic denial of service attack, database threats, session hijacking attacks, and eavesdropping. Even with the case of cloud customers, we have policies as well which violate them, data security and privacy, data location and segregation, customers privileges and access control, availability and recovery, investigation support. Okay, so this is all when it comes to attacks and threats. Okay. So you should have a mind map, an action plan before arriving at a conclusion. Okay, so you should understand what are the types of attacks that are present and what are the existing algorithms which are present and how you can improve the efficiency, how you can improve the standards, how you can make it easily available to the public. So that thing you should focus on. And then there are attacks on the cloud services. In recent years, many businesses have adopted cloud-based computing. Everywhere, cloud computing plays a vital role, whether it may be data storage or maybe any services which uses internet connection rather than on physical infrastructure. You rely on cloud services. So embracing this technology, you have like several benefits. We have reduced operational cost and increase efficiency. So cloud computing plays a vital role, but still it's inviting threats for the case of cyber attackers. And if these systems are not properly configured or maybe maintained, attackers can exploit the vulnerabilities in the system security, and they can gain access to the sensitive information. So many of the today's organizations, they rely on cloud services as employees work remotely. Okay, so when it comes to cloud services or maybe cloud security or maybe cloud computing, you should have a keynote of it, because attackers, they normally prefer this way. And then outdated and inefficient systems. I don't want to mention the names, but even in the case of the military or maybe any personal communications, we still tend to use an inefficient or maybe outdated systems. So just for the sake of the cost, we do something, but the attackers find it very easy. Okay, businesses increase the risk of an attack or breach by connecting legacy systems. So when IT implements patchwork solutions to resolve operational issues, security vulnerabilities can be created more inadvertently. And as cyber attacks are becoming increasingly sophisticated alongside rapidly changing technologies, these outdated and inefficient systems have become easy targets. Okay. So those who can update and they can enrich their skills or maybe look forward for the job opportunities, they should keep this thing in mind. Okay, so don't think about outdated or maybe inefficient system. Always go for the latest upgrade, so the attackers will find a hard time. And then we have the remote work risks. Okay, COVID-19, everybody is working online. If you take in the case of software company or maybe industry, they are creating a more comfortable place for the workers. They want the workers to stay calm, but there are remote work risks as well. So even in the pandemic period, maybe I really don't know about the effect of Omicron. We already have a death in UK, so definitely at least for some time we would be online. So maybe this might be the problem. Even again in the remote work, we have some risks as well. And according to Upwork report, that's a media report, over 36 million Americans will be working remotely by 2025, which if you can observe, it is a 87% increase compared to the pre-pandemic levels. So people are changing. Even in the teaching fraternity, we are working online. Okay, even with the case of companies, industries, organizations, even industrial plants, we are made to work remotely. Okay, so unfortunately, this contributes to a increased risk of cyber threats for many organizations. So in this current age of remote work, cyber criminals are taking advantage of misconfigured cloud security measures and insecure home devices and networks. Remote workers are also often the target of phishing attempts. You would have received this via email, via voice message, via text message. Third-party applications like they start to speak in the talking tom voice, so they will not be identified. Okay, and because of these threats, there is an increased demand for cybersecurity professionals who can successfully mitigate the risks associated with the remote work of the organizations. Okay, so if you are planning to be a cybersecurity professional, think about the online mode, the remote work mode, and how you can prevent the cybersecurity attack. and continued use of multi-factor authentication. So many companies have combined the use of passwords with multi-factor authentication, okay, for an additional layer. Even with the case of Gmail, okay, you have a two-layer protection. Maybe if you enter a password, I can even set something like uh, uh, maybe a message comes to a mobile, and mobile, if I see the mobile, I will see maybe 6525. Okay, maybe it's a key. If I try to enter in this Gmail, and it says okay, the key is correct, and it will direct you to Gmail. The same thing happens with YouTube as well. We have a two-layer protection. Okay, so similarly, companies have turned out this way. We have multi-factor authentication, okay, just to protect against cyber attacks. With multi-factor authentication, users need to use two or more devices to confirm their identities. Okay, maybe you can use a password, or maybe a fingerprint, or maybe iris, uh, you know, capture. Okay, so for example, an employee attempting to log into their company's file share service on the laptop enters the username and the password. They receive a text message on the phone on record that delivers the code. Finish logging in, they will be entering this code. Maybe this one is a very basic way. Okay, maybe in the universities or maybe organizations, we can go with fingerprints, or maybe iris capture, passwords as well. So you can increase the multi-factor authentication. While MFA is a highly effective way to secure the accounts and prevent attacks, cyber criminals might be able to bypass certain types of authentication. In late 2020, it was Microsoft Director of Identity Security, Alex Maynard. He has urged users to move away from SMS and voice multi-factor authentication, and you have to rely completely on app-based authenticators. So this is what he has referred. Okay, so Maynard has also explained that SMS as well as voice MFA are not encrypted, therefore which is vulnerable to attacks. Actually, I've been admired by these professionals, because I just want to show you a glimpse of what you should have an action plan. Okay, it's very easy to think, okay, I want to be a cybersecurity professional, but listen to these people, what they have said. Like the Microsoft director, okay, we have the Northeastern University director, again insisting on a particular point. Okay, we have Google Authenticator, another popular option. Okay, like maybe Okta, or maybe Microsoft Authenticator, or maybe Twilio Auth, or maybe OneSpan Authenticator. We have several options to increase this multi-factor authentication. And then there is increased interest in the data privacy. There has been increasing concerns about data privacy in the world of cybersecurity. Maybe if you are a customer, or maybe consumer who is getting, or maybe the company who is providing the information. So in this case, there has been various federal, state level and international data privacy laws that today's organizations need to comply with, and consumers are also being most concerned with their data, because data or information is power. Data or information is wealth. Okay, now there has been several requirements, standards, regulations, rules, transparency, law, everything for this data, for this information. Okay, and you have to protect it. Okay, and data breaches and cyber attacks expose sensitive personal information, and definitely they can anytime put the consumers and maybe the companies at risk. And today's organizations need to consider important factors, maybe like data encryption, password protection, and network security to strengthen their data privacy. Businesses of today are built with highly skilled cybersecurity professionals in order to secure the data and protect against the potentially devastating data breaches. Imagine a top company, a multinational company, or maybe organization. If they don't have skilled cybersecurity professional, they will be down. Their company will be closed. Okay, maybe some new leader emerges. So you have to build highly skilled cybersecurity professionals to maintain the standard and data privacy. So now we are going to discuss about the cybersecurity skills for today's professionals. So whenever you are working, if you are landing yourself in your dream company or maybe the organization, you have to protect the information or maybe the asset of your organization. You have to protect the assets or maybe the information, the IT systems from the internal threat or maybe external threat. There will be some by employees who are working there, so you should be very careful regarding this one and be loyal to the organization where you're working with. And today's cybersecurity professionals need to possess important cybersecurity skills, the necessary education and experience in the field. I know the case with the case of South Korea. Okay, I'm not talking about North Korea. I'm talking about South Korea. The students, before completing their bachelor's, they are building themselves. Okay, they are grooming themselves for preparation to become a cyber security professional. Okay, so what I would suggest, you should start as early as possible if you are really into it. And some skills that cybersecurity professionals are expected to have includes technical skills, maybe knowledge of key cybersecurity terms and concepts, an analytical mindset, soft skills like communication and management. Of course, they are very easy skills, but the thing is that you should have an analytical mindset. And then the cybersecurity professionals must know how to plan. There should be some action plan and implement security strategies to reduce risk and enhance the protection. Understand the legal as well as the ethical issues associated with the information security, privacy, and digital rights. And they should have very deep knowledge, very core knowledge, which is surrounding the entire computer system security and the network practices. So they should be well equipped enough uh, with regards to the modern day technology. And as I discussed earlier, you have to consider the remote working environment as well. So a solid foundation of all these technical skills and contextual understanding is very necessary, because attackers, they can come up in either way. That's what the director of Northwestern University, Nobel, has said. And it's very a pathetic condition, because this cyber criminals, definitely they will be exploiting the systems tomorrow, what we are trying to design it today. And someone with a strong foundation will be able to understand the potential of this emerging attack and guide this team to the mitigation. Okay, so this is hard time definitely for us in order to build the future. And without this foundation, you might be able to survive on a daily basis, but definitely there is no guarantee you will be able to respond to an incident. So you have to practice more. Your algorithms should be tested so as to catch up with the standard, and it's also very necessary for professionals to have applicable experience. And we have to think about protecting vulnerabilities and responding to security incidents. But still, a practical experience is what is needed from today's professionals, because our people are too much into the theoretical part. We don't have much hands-on approach. Okay, so we have to think in that way in order to make our goal even more narrow towards success. So because of this, cyber security is such an in-demand field, professionals who are trying to choose this career path might have a bright future. Okay, so according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the cybersecurity industry is expected to grow by 31% between 2019 and 2029. So that has been the statistics compared to the 4% growth rate across all industries. So definitely the experts predict there would be a growth of 31% by 2029. And moreover, according to some estimates, the global cybersecurity workforce will have more than 3.5 million unfilled positions by 2021. So by the end of 2021, we will have this statistics. Keep that in mind. Say, you should not work in a field where there are millions are working. Work in a field which is unique and which you have passion, which you have interest. Okay, so working in cybersecurity field, it's like a God's gift. Okay, and one reason for this talent shortage is organizational neglect from the years ago. Okay, because our uh, scholars or maybe our faculties, our seniors, maybe they would have got less experience in this relevant field. So that might be the reason that the students of today's generation maybe didn't get enough knowledge. But thanks to the technology, thanks to the internet, that students are studying by their own. But we need constant motivation. We need constant encouragement from everybody so that our students will grow brighter. And for many years, companies underestimated the potential of cyber attacks. If you are trying to design secure systems and defend against attacks, and if you are not experiencing any attacks, it doesn't turn out very good. Okay. And because of that, there are huge vulnerabilities that are turning up anytime. And now that we have understood that there are more attacks, but we have less skilled people. Okay. And the demand for these skilled, experienced professionals means a high earning potential. And according to the survey, what we have conducted, the median pay for a information security analyst is approximately $103,000, $103,590 per year. Can you tell me what is the monthly salary of a information security analyst? Just by this figure, you just tell me. It is $103,000 per year. Can you tell me the monthly salary? It's very simple. Can you hear me? The median pay for an information security analyst is approximately $103,000 per year. Now, what is the monthly salary? Roughly around 8 lakhs, 9 lakhs, 8 lakhs to 9 lakhs per month. Okay. Imagine our engineers working for 8,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, landing in TNPSC exam, group 1, group 2, group 3. Now think about cyber security. Try mastering your algorithms. That's what professionals say. You have to master the skills. If you have mastered the skills, jobs are huge, available. Okay, so don't blame the organization. Don't blame the institution where you are studying. You might come from several institutions. You might come from a lower order institution or maybe higher order institution. Okay, but the thing is that success lies within you. It is how you take up the life. Don't blame the faculty members. Okay, faculty members are here to encourage you. Okay, it is all about the self-interest that you try to develop. And technology is open. It's an open book for you. You can take whatever you want to. Okay, but I would rather suggest choose the right way. Okay, and other job titles such as security directors, information systems, security engineers, chief information security officers, definitely their salary is $200,000 per year. Now again, monthly salary roughly around. It goes on. It goes double. Okay, it goes double. Maybe approximately 18 lakhs, 19 lakhs. It goes on. Okay, according to the staff data. So it has a huge demand. Okay, and as organizations continue to value cybersecurity and as adversaries continue to challenge the systems, generally the security measures have been building up, and we have cybersecurity. You can imagine the cybersecurity to be an interesting, peculiar field. Also, it's a challenging field. Okay, it's like a game, trying to outsmart your adversary, and add to that very good compensation, very good salary. You have a very good career. You can enjoy it. You can have intellectual challenges which may pop up at any time. Face the challenges, solve the problems, and you get financial reward. Who doesn't want money? Okay, try for it. Okay, go become a cybersecurity professional. Okay. The second part of today's session, I would go into the blockchain technology. Of course, blockchain plays a vital role even in today's day. Uh, if you take a 5-star chocolate, if you take a dairy milk chocolate, if you take WWE, a sport, okay, you can take any platform. Now blockchain is coming. Okay, blockchain has already evolved into a revolutionary technology maturing over the decade and thereby penetrating almost every business. Okay, cryptocurrency will definitely make a mark. It provides a competitive edge to the investors and businesses who tend to follow its pace. After managing its success in the form of Bitcoin, it endeavored its disruption in finance, healthcare, supply chain, and legal services. Its latest uprisings like NFTs or maybe BaaS, blockchain as a service, asset tokenization, and digital entities are taking the markets by a storm, which normally is trending in today's market. And we have federalized blockchains as well, which is an updated version of the traditional decentralized blockchain. So instead of being operated by one organizations, like we have multiple consortium members which manage the features of the blockchain, and this distributes the power among multiple decision makers. So everybody can make a decision, but there should be some coordination, okay, proper reputation, and this enables a convenient collaboration, securing the chain under the supervision of many nodes simultaneously. So we have some examples. We have Hyperledger, Carda, and Quorum, which are federalized blockchains. And then we have dominating stable coins. I think you would have known about it. So here the extremely volatile nature of the top cryptocurrencies, which led to the upcoming of such blockchain-based coins, definitely their value is pegged at 1:1 ratio to the flat currencies, and they can also be backed by commodities like gold or maybe oil. So this is the future. Okay. So here the stable coins are gaining popularity owing to their combined advantages of the crypto and fiat currencies. So we have like convenient transfer when it comes to stable coins or maybe the Bitcoin, and there is reduced volatility. Okay, whether you take in the case of Binance USD or maybe Terra USD or maybe Tether, they are the top stable coins investors. So if you are much into it, you will understand things better. We would uh, think about banking with these coins as well. Okay, and here the stable coins have become a rising star in crypto exchange and trading apps like Bitcoin Circuit. So now we are transforming this social networking with the case of Bitcoin technology. So according to the statistical data, around 57% of the global demographic, roughly around 4.48 billion, is actively involved in social media networks. Okay, so you can say the available network platforms are centralized. They store, they censor, they share our data, compromising the user security in the case of a breach. Okay, you would have heard like Twitter, Instagram, or maybe Facebook. It has been stopped. The service has been stopped. So which means some internal process is going on. Which means some of the you know processes has been hacked. So they are trying to fix it. Okay, and blockchain powered solutions address these pressing concerns, tracking the flow of information, capitalizing the work and content, and getting rid of the perturbing ads. Okay. We have some examples. We have Minds, which is a social media platform. We have Steemit, which is a decentralized blogging platform, which are some good examples. And there is interoperability over the blockchain network. So giving the users the ability to make cross-network transactions or maybe exchanging information is a feather in the cap with the case of advanced blockchain technology. And we have like increased transaction speed when it comes to blockchain. And some of the successful examples we have Echo, Cosmos, Polkadot, Blocknet, Chain are good some examples where you tend to use blockchains to the next end of end of service attack. And then we have realizing the enterprise environmental, social, and governance goals. So achieving these global targets in terms of environmental, social, and governance goal is another trend of this blockchain technology. And trading electricity by the producers without involvement of the intermediaries, or maybe running the recycling programs, or maybe simplifying the supply chain management, improving the traceability, or maybe assisting the reduction of the carbon emissions are good possibilities which are realized through the blockchain involvement. And now, in the case of blockchain, we have something new. We have the Sun contract, which is a peer-to-peer, end-to-end energy trading system that offers the customers to buy and sell renewable energy solutions. Normally, we have buying and selling currency, but now buying and selling renewable energy solutions without any agents, or maybe without any intermediaries. So, similarly, Plastic Bank Project, which has set up collection centers in developing countries that can collect and donate plastic in return for the services and necessary items using the blockchain technology. So we have like different technologies, new technologies which are coming. Sun contract, Plastic Bank Project, okay, and then we have Energy Blockchain Lab and IBM. It's a Beijing-based company which has created a blockchain platform for monitoring the emissions in China. So that also we have. Okay, so they say it is expected to improve the carbon footprint by 20% to 50%. So, you know, the technologies are evolving. Okay, so we have to constantly monitor these challenges. And we have a safer streaming content with blockchain technology, and the creating work is witnessing a paradigm shift using this blockchain powered solutions, and availability of content across the borders, or maybe accessibility to the creative showcase without the involvement of the third party is an added advantage. For example, we have LivePeer, which is a Ethereum powered video streaming platform. We can create live videos, reduce the infrastructure and streaming cost. We have like Theta, Videocon, these are good examples. We can safely stream the content without any need for cyber attacks. And there is a rising interest in the central bank digital currency. Okay, so it was early during the years it has been a proposal, but now this proposal has come in active. But still, this central bank digital currency is in the starting stages, or maybe initial stages, and this is actually the realization of the fiat currency into its digital form powered by the blockchain. Okay, so it is regulated and backed by the central authority themselves, and we have pilot scale plans which have been launched and researched in countries like England, China, Canada, Sweden, Uruguay, even in India, Thailand, and Singapore. So we have a rising interest towards the central bank digital currency because it is being backed by the all the central governments. And we have top ethical hacking trends, growths, and opportunities. So as I told you, like attackers are growing, intruders are growing, unlawful network invaders are improving every now and then. We have black hat hackers, which are more active nowadays. They have contributed around 250 cyber attacks all across the globe. Okay, we have some courses for upgrading these cyber security tactics in order to provide white hat hackers with the essential knowledge and skills. So go through them in the white hat JR. Okay, and then we have cloud computing. In present days, every company or maybe the organization data is migrated to the cloud. Legal hackers have moved their concentration to numerous cyber assaults against the cloud computing environment. So you have to safeguard the information. You have to protect the information. Okay, you have to give topmost priority with the usage of pen testing procedures, and you can easily identify any threats which are turning up in the cloud computing before getting hacked. And there are some analysis which the experts have suggested. They are analysis to reduce the cyber attacks by automating processes. So for this case, we use robotic process automation, or maybe RPA, robotic process automation, or RPA. And this automation is the prime motive is to cover up a large area of cybersecurity which consists of incident detection, proper analysis, and immediate response. So even today's businesses have begun to automate cybersecurity, removing the risk of human mistakes from time-consuming manual labor. So today's processes are driven towards automation process. We have something which is associated with AI, which is robotic process automation. And whatever may be the technology that we are using, everything is focused on the digital information protection. Okay, and we believe that this digital data encryption can significantly lower the threat of hacking. And in order to boost the privacy or authentication, all cloud service providers are beginning to provide or produce strong encryption over data and control. And with the evolution of internet change, cybersecurity is the right choice, and we have simpler SMBs to assault these days, since they may lack proper protection features and money to defend their businesses. And as a result, small firms, people will be attacked more frequently. Okay, so lack of knowledge is also a problem. AI, you can consider it as a protector and assaulter. So artificial intelligence in the field of cybersecurity is a right tool in gaining a lead position with the capacity to detect and react appropriately to malicious activity in any time. Okay, and AI can filter through and analyze data to determine whether risks are legitimate. And there is a drawback to AI and machine learning's apparent advantages. Still, it is present. Okay, the black hat coders will know about it. They will use them to perform complex assaults that are impossible to discern. And we have AI botnets, phishing attacks, and several more that we would be dealing with AI. States that there is an increase in the demand of the ethical hackers, because cyber attacks might pop up at any point of time. And there are well-known organizations where white hat hackers can serve in various professions, and it includes head in charge of the information security, information protection specialist, an ethical hacking coach who's handling this type of issues, and then there is network security manager, and there is chief software security officer as well. So it is all planned, it is all well administered in order to provide the white hat hacker certification. And we have some of the government's requirements as well. So even the state government and the central government are taking some useful measures. Even the policy makers have access to a vast amount of sensitive information about the inhabitants and residents. For example, we have like an Aadhaar card which have all the information about everything. Okay, right? So, for example, the information regarding the combat armaments or maybe missile systems, airplanes, radar, and other equipment, several preparations to activate them in the event of a national emergency. Everything is being classified. Okay, so even with the case of blockchain technology, it's being access to the authorized professionals as well. And it's very important that you have to safeguard all this stuff and prevent unauthorized cyber attacks. The government generally requires skillful ethical hackers. And as mentioned in the video, you would have seen like healthcare jobs. So nothing could be more vital to a nation's economy than delivering good treatment to its citizens and safeguarding their personal information as well. So ethical hackers, they generally help or maybe support the healthcare market in defending the research findings or maybe current medical formulations and other confidential information, support information that they can have, with regards to the support they can offer during the time of pandemic. Like whenever there is a lockdown, the patient can find it hard to reach the hospital. Even the doctor can find it hard to reach it, okay, because of the scare. So they can do that at ease. And then there is consultancy company as well, and there's a group of white hat hackers who can naturally work on their own autonomously, and they can form qualified consultancies to give businesses the necessary ethical hacking information. And organizations who do not employ ethical hackers, they can use these facilities to have their systems examined with the help of a consultancy company, and they can actually find it very easy to detect the problems underlying beneath. And this is the future growth of the ethical hackers. So just like some other computer or maybe system security professions, cyber security professionals are in great demand. I repeat once again, cyber security professionals are in great demand, and this need is only growing as the complexity and the expense of the cyber attack services, because cyber attacks are coming up in new fashion. So skillful cyber security professionals are in great demand. So here the work of a certified hacker is quite tricky. They support businesses in identifying potential security flaws or maybe errors in the networks, and they try to defend them against their growing cyber attacks. So with regards to the weaknesses, with regards to the system weaknesses, we have several policies that we have to address, but still the universal goal should not be detained at any point of time. So in this time period, I have brought to you the maximum means that I could about cyber security, blockchain technology, and then ethical hacking that has really grown and has really upgraded our life to new standards in today's pandemic scenario. I really don't know how far this Omicron will go, or maybe the scientists have predicted that another new virus might come that might overtake all this COVID variants. So who knows what might happen, but still, our goal should be fixed enough. We should plan our life accordingly so as to become a professional ethical hacker in order to raise our standards, in order to secure our data and information from all cyber attacks. So thank you for the opportunity given. Once again, I would like to thank the coordinators, the organizers, learned scholars, professionals of this university or the college. And thank you, my dear participants, for your patience. So if you have any further questions to ask me, you can ask me freely anytime. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Really, your presentation was a third booster to our students who are much interested to get placements in cybersecurity field. On behalf of the students, I assure you that our students will definitely grow up with technical skills, analytical mindset, and soft skills in the near future, and will get placed up in the field of cybersecurity. On behalf of the staff and students, we have a few questions, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, please, you can ask.
Thank you very much, sir. Your presentation was very, very rewarding, very excellent and interesting. I was really taken up by the slides that you have prepared on Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and cybersecurity threats, and also cloud computing is complementing. And the videos that you have presented also were value added to this lecture. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
So I would like to put a few questions with you. White hat hacking could be given up as a certification course.
Yes.
What do you feel about this? Or is there any program in cybersecurity per se offered by any institution?
From my institution or from anywhere here, ma'am?
Anywhere as you know.
Yeah, White Hat JR, there are several institutes which are offering, but still I would rather suggest like after your the beginning years, maybe we can go for the Western countries in order to master um, any tool or maybe any software that we are trying to do. Of course, we have good centers in Chennai, we have good centers in Bangalore. Even the northern states have good, organizations or maybe institutes. but still a more practical and a more challenging situation comes when you try to master it in any maybe a Canada based university or maybe a Western country university, something like Germany or maybe European countries. It's more challenging.
I
So
think
they are offering even stipends even. Very recently, I came across a position in South Korea which demands cyber security professionals. Even the beginner, they are trying to recruit. So it's high time that we should move in the early stages of our career, like maybe after completing 12th standard. No, forget about the degrees. When it comes to cyber security or maybe ethical hacking or maybe blockchain technology, we should have the mindset, have a hands-on approach, whatever the course that we are trying to do. So I would rather suggest go for a Western course, Western country course.
But don't you think it is the duty of the governments to protect the data access by AI bots? Now that it carries so much significance and it will really affect our lives. More authentication, integrity-based applications, and only such kind of applications should be actually published on the internet. Shouldn't there be such kind of cyber laws brought in by all the governments so that people who do not know about all these things should be protected from that? What do you think, sir?
I would rather suggest that this is the problem of every developing country because our people, the thing is that we have much lack of knowledge. If you try to have a deep insight, we people have a lack of knowledge. Even the learned professionals have a lack of knowledge, and we have limited practical experience. I wouldn't say that Indians are foolish, but the thing is that we have lack of experience. So if we have that practical experience, practical way of handling things, if we are done with so many internships, practical hands-on sessions, during our curriculum, open-ended projects. If we are up into open-ended project for every subject that we are dealing with, so definitely our mindset would be broad enough. We would handle this very efficiently. Okay, so even in India we have scope, but the thing is that when it comes to hands-on approach, we naturally have to go to a Western country, maybe Canada or maybe UK, gather some experience
That
and
is
come
what I'm
back
telling you,
India.
sir. That is, we are actually pushed to a educational policy that the curriculum is pre-tailored,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
does not include upcoming technologies
yeah,
like what you have just now referred.
yeah,
Okay, so when students or even teachers in colleges are not they are not given training or they are not experiencing any kind of such things, so that they equip themselves with these kind of technologies. Only if teachers equip themselves, they can give it to students. And therefore, I think the entire framework of the education policy must accommodate upcoming technologies in their syllabus so that students become at least aware of the basics of these technologies so that they get an aspiration to actually skill themselves up in further higher end of the same technology so that they become they get the scope for being placed in such kind of
yeah. Actually, we have been accustomed
domains.
with the 80-20 system. Actually, 80% is theory, 20% only practical, 80% internal, 20% only external. So if we are up to this mindset, we will never grow. Also, we have been too much into the economical crisis. Like, okay, there is one institute which is offering it at low price. Everybody will try to storm at that particular institute at the center. Actually, the thing is that whenever it comes to animation or maybe blockchain technology or maybe ethical hacking or maybe network operating systems or maybe cyber security, you should have some passion. If you have that passion, there are several institutes which are offering for free, but of course there are some institutes which charge you some money. But the thing is that you should have some goal. You should have some passion. This passion is lacking in some of the younger generation students. I would rather say, I would never say all the students are very lazy, but the thing is that You should have that mindset. Now that's the reason a South Korean student is able to score in terms of networking over all the students in and around the world.
So, another next question that comes up is: will technology adopters rule the world, and those who fail to do so serve them like slaves?
No, no,
Will it happen?
I didn't get your question. No?
So that means that those who adopt the technology will
Yeah,
rule the world in future, and those who do not,
yeah,
will they become, will they serve them like slaves?
yeah. Those who adopt these technologies will go to new educational heights, and sometimes what happens is, you know, the governments will be the countries, or maybe the governments will be smart enough to adopt them as their country nationality. So we are losing some good minds, good educators. Okay, definitely they will be the ones who will be the future, who will be the future. So if you are choosing cybersecurity as your profession, if you are choosing ethical hacking as your profession, uh, imagine the salaries that you are going to get. But try to master it in good reputed institutions, so definitely you will have a good future, and definitely you are going to be at the top in the MNC that you are going to serve.
I am not only talking about the education, sir. I am talking about the application of the technology.
Yes, yes,
Those
yes.
perhaps the businessmen, the government, or whoever is going to adopt the technology will rather play, and they will be the rulers of the world.
Yeah,
And
sure,
those
sure.
who are not aware of this kind of a technology are naturally pushed to accept whatever they have to, or these people are going to do.
Yes, you are right.
Right.
And definitely this session, these three sessions would be marking their way to all the young students and the faculty members who are trying to choose this as a career. So, I thank the management for taking this right decision to transform the students to the next higher level in this.
Surely, your presentation has kindled the thoughts, and I think it would have kindled the thoughts in the mind of the students also to pursue a career in this kind of domain, so that they will naturally find their own place in this domain. And ended the session, sir.
Okay.
Actually, I was asking you whether Bitcoins starting to rule in the world. Will economies unite and have a common currency, or will they have separate currency in each country?
Sorry, ma'am, I didn't get you. Again, please. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Because of Bitcoin technology, will there be a possibility to have a common currency throughout the world?
Yes, sure, ma'am. Still, it has not globalized itself. We have been seeing some decline, but definitely it will make a mark. It will definitely make a mark. As I have mentioned in my slides, we have a central bank digital currency, CBDC. Definitely, it will play a vital role. Definitely, the government, just like one Aadhaar card for all, so we will have a digital currency. We would be programmed to work under it. So, just like online transactions, we will have apps working through, and we will definitely make through. So, cryptocurrency is not going to die. We will make our way into CBDC.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
The session was really useful, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. And I'm happy to meet Padma Priya ma'am of Halagappa University because I know
Thank you,
her
sir. How are
personally.
you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now I invite Mrs. Nathia to propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the management of Srimati Indira Gandhi College, I take this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks. I thank the Almighty for leading us to success in our efforts. I would like to thank our resource persons, Dr. Christo Anand, Dr. V. Sambat Kumar, and Mr. Sendil Kumar, for having enlightened us with their deep knowledge, expertise, and profound facts. Learning from cybersecurity practitioners, architects, and researchers is really With the rapid change to fully digital era, cybersecurity assumes great importance. Today's conference was filled with knowledge and information. It had a deep insight into the topic and also exposed us to many interesting factors. The subjects which they briefed us on recent trends in cybersecurity was really informative and landed us to the next level of thinking. My heartfelt thanks to our chief guest for their efforts to enlighten us on the importance of cybersecurity in spite of their busy schedule. I would like to express our profound gratitude to our beloved Madam, the Secretary of the National College Council and former Vice Chancellor of the Bharatdasan University for her continuous motivation and encouragement. Thank you, Madam. I would like to thank our CEO, Sir, and Director, Madam, for their continuous support, inspiration, and guidance. Thank you, Sir and Madam. I extend my thanks to our principal for her support to organize this conference. I would also like to thank our vice principals, head department of computer science, IT and computer applications, teaching and non-teaching staff members. I also thank the webinar committee and IT team who really worked hard to make this event full. Finally, I thank all the participants on the web for your involved attention and learning. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Nachia. Once again, on behalf of the management, principal, staff, and students, I wish to extend my heartfelt thanks to all the resource persons of the today's international conference. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Dear participants, all the 3 plenary sessions are over now. Hope all of you are enriched with cybersecurity concepts. The next and final event today is paper presentation. We are happy to invite Dr. A. Badnapriya, Professor, Department of Computer Science, Alagappa University, Karaikudi, and Dr. S. Manigandacharan, Assistant Professor, Adakalamada College, Vellam, Tanjavur, to chair the paper presentation. We are very happy to inform you all that we have received many papers from the students, faculty, and research scholars. Thank you all for your paper submissions. As we are in short of time, we have planned to conduct the paper presentation in 2 parallel sessions. Links have been already sent to the participants who are to present their papers. The other participants can join in any one of the links. Dr. A. Badnapriya, Professor, Department of Computer Science, Alagappa, Karaikudi University, and Dr. S. Manigandacharan, Assistant Professor, PG and Research, Department of Computer Science, have scrutinized all the papers. One paper has been selected as the best paper. I now invite Dr. A. Badnapriya to say a few words about the papers presented and to announce the best paper. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So, very good afternoon to one and all for this one-day international conference on recent trends in cybersecurity. Actually, it gives me immense pleasure to be part of this online international conference. So, organized by my college, Srimati Indira Gandhi College, Trichy. So, first of all, I would like to thank the college management and Madam Dr. K. Meena for arranging such a conference for this for the welfare of the students, for giving exposure in recent trends in cybersecurity. And being a alumna of this college, I feel very much proud to part of this event. And I'd like to thank all the staff members of my department, as well as the event coordinators and resource persons, the participants, and Dr. Manigandacharan, who has been joining hands with me for scrutinizing the papers that have been submitted for the conference. And so here we have received many papers, and we, both the reviewers, so we have designed a common format for evaluating the papers, and the parameters that are taken into consideration for evaluating the papers are originality of the paper, novelty in the paper, and research content in the paper, and experimentation results, as well as the discussions. And in addition to all the 4 parameters, one more parameter is also added, that is amount of plagiarism, because in each and every publication they are looking for plagiarism. So what is the percentage of plagiarism that is available in the research article? So we have used two different softwares for identifying the plagiarized content. We used Grammarly as well as Urkund, and based on the parameters, we have evaluated the papers. So both the reviewers evaluated the papers separately. We have assigned scores for each and every parameter, and we have summed them up, find the average, and we have identified the best paper based on these parameters. And a research article. So actually, every research article or any research paper, it is the assert of the researcher. We may be there or we may not be there tomorrow, but our research publications will be the source for the upcoming research community to get into it, to look into it, and to follow the research guidelines that have been given in the research articles. So here, the best award goes to the paper entitled InfoSec Topic-Based Financial Fraud News Corpus Clustering by the authors K. Gomati, Dr. R. Parimala. So this paper, it holds good in all the 5 parameters that I have mentioned earlier, and I'm very much happy to associate with Dr. S.S. Manihandasaran, who has given me very good support while evaluating this paper. Thank you, sir, and thank you one and all for giving me this opportunity. So following this session, hope there will be a parallel paper presentation session.